Hello guys, what's up going on? Chilling at home, right? So it's a bit cloudy today, you can see, and it might rain now. So coming to the video, there is no lagging today. So I will be discussing here about a relevant topic. It's about cecum, which is a part of large intestine. So it will be a medical aspect video, and hope you all enjoy that. And I am sharing a great knowledge to you. Okay, so let's come to the video. So guys, so for understanding the topic, I will be presenting the whole topic under the following subheadings. It's the introduction about, first the introduction about cecum, then its shape, its type of cecum and its development, then dimensions of cecum, and then its visceral and peritoneal relations. Then coming to interior of cecum, arterial supply, venous drainage, lymphatic drainage, nerve supply, and last one, the clinical correlations. So first coming to the introduction, the large intestine has got four parts: cecum, colon, rectum, and anal canal, of which the first part is a cecum. So cecum, the Latin meaning of cecum is blind. So cecum forms a blind end of the large intestine. And cecum lies in the right iliac fossa above the lateral half of the inguinal ligament. Superiorly, it communicates with the ascending colon, posteromedially with the vermiform appendix, and posteriorly with the ileocecal junction. The cecum is named as cecum because it forms a blind end of the large intestine. Next, coming to the shape of cecum. The cecum is often seen as a pendular structure on the beginning or the proximal end of the large intestine. There occurs change in its shape and the position, and also change in the position of attachment of vermiform appendix during its growth. So, at the time of birth, the cecum is conical in shape and the vermiform appendix is attached at its apex. Later on, there occurs development of two sacules on either side of the tinea coli of cecum. The growth of right sacule is greater than that of left sacule. As a result, the apex of cecum and the vermiform appendix is pushed towards left. That's the reason why the vermiform appendix is located on the posteromedial side. So coming to the development of cecum, cecum developed from the cecal bud arising from the caudal limb of primitive intestinal loop. So the proximal end of the cecal bud dilates to form the cecum, and the distal end get narrower to form the vermiform appendix. So that's about the development. Then coming to the types of cecum. There are mainly four types of cecum. They are conical type of cecum or fetal type. It is the first type and it occurs only in 2%. So it is here the cecum is conical in shape and the vermiform appendix is attached at its apex. And next is the quadrate type or infantile type. Here its occurrence only is 3%, and the cecum is quadrate in shape due to the development of right and left sacule, and the vermiform appendix is attached at its depressed bottom. Next is the normal type of cecum, also called the ambulatory type of cecum. It's the most common type of cecum and its occurrence is 80 to 90%. So here the right sacule is greater than that of the left sacule, and the vermiform appendix is attached about 2 cm below the ileocecal junction. Next is the exaggerated type of cecum. Its occurrence only is 4%, and as a name itself it says that it is exaggerated. That is, the right sacule is extremely large and the left sacule is absent, and the vermiform appendix is attached just below the ileocecal junction. So that's the four type of cecum. Next, coming to the dimension, the cecum is 6 cm in length and its width is 7.5 cm. Cecum is one of the organs in our body whose width is greater than its length. The other organs in our body whose width which is greater than length is the prostate gland, isthmus of thyroid, pons, pituitary gland, and the celiac gland. Next, coming to the relations. The cecum has got visceral and peritoneal relations. Coming to the visceral relations has got anterior and posterior aspects. So the anterior relations of the visceral relations include the anterior abdominal wall, the loop of intestine, and the greater omentum. The posterior relations include the femoral nerve, genitofemoral nerve on the right side, lateral cutaneous nerve of thigh, then right gonadal vessels, right iliacus and psoas major, right external iliac artery, and the retrocecal recess. So these are the posterior relations of the visceral relations. Next, coming to the peritoneal relations. In 90% of individuals, the cecum is completely peritoneal. It is completely covered by peritoneum, and it has a retrocecal recess which may ascend up and posterior up to the ascending colon. But in 10% of individuals, the upper part of the posterior surface is non-peritoneal and it lies directly on fascia iliaca. The other recesses include the superior ileocecal recess, which lies just beneath the superior ileocecal fold, and the inferior ileocecal recess, which lies just beneath the inferior ileocecal fold. The cecum often contains mesentery, and the cecum is mobile in about 20% of individuals, most commonly in females. So, next coming to the relations of peritoneal fold with the cecum and the terminal part of ileum. So, first fold is the superior ileocecal fold. It extends from the terminal part of ileum up to the ascending colon. It is raised by the anterior celiac artery and hence called vascular fold of cecum. Next is the inferior ileocecal fold. It extends from the terminal part of ileum up to the vermiform appendix or the cecum. It does not contain any blood vessels and hence called a bloodless fold of Treves. Next is the ileocecal fold. It lies on the posterior surface and forms the right boundary of ileocecal recess. Next, coming to the interior of cecum. The interior of cecum consists of two orifices, the ileocecal orifice and the appendicular orifice, of which the most prominent feature is the ileocecal orifice. So, coming to the ileocecal orifice, the ileocecal orifice is present on the posteromedial aspect of cecum. Here the terminal part of ileum opens into the cecum. It is guarded by ileocecal valve. The ileocecal valve has peculiarities, that is, it contains two lips, the upper lip and the lower lip. The upper lip is horizontal and it is short, and it lies at the level of ileocolic junction, and the lower lip is long and it is concave upwards and it lies at the level of ileocecal junction. Both the lips unite at its end and it extends as mucosal fold called the cecal frenulum, and this cecal frenulum acts as a cecocolic sphincter. The ileocecal valve helps in regulating the flow of contents from terminal part of ileum to the cecum and also prevent the regurgitation of contents from cecum to ileum. So that's about the ileocecal orifice. Next, coming to the appendicular orifice. The appendicular orifice is present on the posterior side, just below 2 cm below the ileocolic junction. It's a small circular orifice and contains a semi-continuous or incomplete semi-membranous valve called as valve of Gerlach. So that's about the appendicular orifice. So we have completed the interior of cecum. Next, coming to the arterial supply. The cecum is supplied by anterior and posterior cecal branches of ileocolic artery, a branch of superior mesenteric artery. Next, coming to the venous drainage. The blood from the cecum is drained into superior mesenteric vein, which further drains into portal system. Next is the lymphatic drainage. Lymph all over from the cecum is drained into superior mesenteric nodes, which further drain into pre-aortic nodes. Next, coming to the nerve supply. The cecum has got both sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve supply. Sympathetic nerve supply is through T11 and L1 spinal segment, and parasympathetic nerve supply is through vagus nerve. Sympathetic nerve supply causes constriction of the ileocecal valve. Next, coming to clinical correlation. The barium enema that completely fills the colon may enter the terminal part of ileum. The failure of relaxation of ileocecal valve in large bowel movement may cause the rupturing of cecum. The cecum often guides the surgeons during the operation of large intestine or small intestine to determine where is the obstruction. That is, if the cecum is distended, then the obstruction will be at the large intestine, and the cecum is empty, then the obstruction will be at the small intestine. Then the cecum is prone to cancer and also amoebiasis. The infection or inflammation of cecum is called as typhlitis or cecitis. So that's a short video about cecum. Hope you all enjoyed that. So far we have discussed about the shape of cecum, its dimension, types of cecum, development, relations, interior of cecum, arterial supply, venous drainage, lymphatic drainage, nerve supply, and clinical correlation. So if you like the video, please subscribe. Thank you.